Good evening, everybody. I just want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Mr. Albert Gonzalez, and in today's Module 6 discussion, the CREW method, meaning continuous review, evaluation, and weeding discussion. I just want to go ahead and get started with our presentation. So as I mentioned before in my previous presentations, I am a school teacher, middle school technology teacher over at South Texas Preparatory Academy, located in the South Texas Rio Grande Valley. And I've been teaching for about 11, 12 years. Let's go ahead and get started. So on the general question, what is my general impression of the section based on the online search that I did? So my general impression of this section has been great. When I started working with the Gateway to the World Library as my internship hours, it's been a great, fantastic experience. I was using the Destiny Follett tidal wave as my mentor has helped me guide understanding what the programs work with. And it shows a big inventory of the campus Gateway to the World Library, what it offers. So it's very well organized. That's the first things I noticed when I was using it for this assignment. Also, when I've been using it for, let's say, having our patrons check out books, check out equipment, look at the inventory, it's very well organized, and I love Destiny Follett and Tidal Wave. So that was the tool that I used. In the assignment, I focused on the 900 section of the Dewey Decimal System, which was geography and history categories. Um, the inventory in the library that I'm currently doing my internship hours has a total of about 15,000 books. As I've been completing my internship hours, I'm understanding the 900 section. As you'll see in the example, has about 2,450 copies in inventory at the moment. So it's not the whole inventory of the library, but I did pick a part of the 900 section. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. So what is the main criteria I would apply when I'm using the CREW method? So when I read the book on chapter 10 of the CREW method, I learned, and my mentor actually helped me out with this, the terminology of the MUSTY method. So the MUSTY method, what I learned was it stands for M is misleading. If some books have some misleading content, things are like, not leading to school appropriate. Ugly, meaning like if the book is like damaged, let's say there's wear and tear. Superseded, like let's say if something is going on, something that's not related, similar to misleading, but where it's kind of like in a perspective of like where it's kind of out of date. Also, how long has it been published, things like that. Also, how long have we had the book? Trivial, it's just also wear and tear, like similar to ugly, but trivial could is also like how long we've had the book, but also any damages. Things could also it ties into it. Irrelevance, similar to misleading, where if it's in the right section. Other parts to wonder is like, let's say how many times the book has been checked out, how many times, it's been like processed or um, in the circulation method, and elsewhere, where's the location of the books? If these books have been like, let's say elsewhere, missing, things like that. So that would be in the musty. I'd look in the sections in the following when going through the weeding process, like have the books been worn out of date, rarely used, the circulation, how many times it's been checked out, supplied elsewhere. Let's say the book has been like faded, like damaged, things like that. I would look at all those things. By understanding the weeding system with the tidal wave and Destiny Follett, I'll identify the call number, the Dewey class with the CREW formula, which is an example on page 150 from the textbook. So we have the Dewey call number of the book, then the class where it would be at, and the CREW method, which would be the years it's been published, then how many copies we have of the book, and then applying the musty method with that. So it's basically on those divisions. Also, when I'm going through the criteria, I'm also wanting to apply like the intellectual freedom, self-censorship, copyright, intellectual property, safety for our patrons, making sure that we don't get into any risk of like, let's say, anything that negative would happen. So those are things that I would look into for in the CREW method as well. With the students with age appropriate, we'll check out books availability. So what's pretty cool about our library, we have a system where whenever a child tries to check out a book, depending on if they're middle school or high school, um, if a child tries to check out a high school book, the computer actually does a system flag and then it warns us that, hey, this middle school child shouldn't be checking out this book because of the age. So we have that system in place with that. And then there's also providing assistive technologies for our patrons whenever making sure, like, if there's a weeding process, we have to look in those factors as well. So this is an example of what I grabbed from the 900s. I grabbed some screenshots, and so the book titles I saw from the 900 section are around 1,300 books, and some of them are out of date, 10 years, obsolete. And this is an example. So right here, I would have the call number, which is down here, the title, the author of the book, the barcode, how much it costed, when did the library purchase the book, and it's available, and circulations, how many times it's been checked out. So in other words, on the right side, we've noticed it hasn't been checked out at all. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. You're going to see here, like there's a screenshot that we have here, like, the call number, the author, the barcode, the price, when was the book brought into the library, how many times has this book been checked out, which looking at these numbers, they haven't really been checked out much. So we see the total copies here, 2,455, and then total circulations of checks out have been 2,705 with this section of the 900. So we're noticing, like I mentioned, whenever we see like if it's out of date, obsolete, if the years are pretty off, like in 10 years, I would use the crew method definitely. So those are things I would look at, and let's say my future librarian staff would like look at let's say the wear and tear of the book. I would look at those things as well. So has this library section been weeded effectively? Well, in my library, the Gateway to the World Library, I believe the library section has been weeded effectively. As mentioned in my previous video discussions, my mentor is responsible for both the middle school and the high school, which shares both of them. So there really should be two librarians. However, with my mentor holding responsibilities for both campuses, the library job has been extremely difficult. The weeding process in the 900 section has been about 1,400 books been weeded at the moment. And, let's say they're out of date content, information, and damages. That's what my mentor has been using the crew method, for instance. During the weeding process, the intellectual freedom is in place, like the censorship, the freedom for our patrons, nonfiction and fiction books. And this was coming from chapter 13 of the textbooks of these guidelines of freedoms and censorships. My mentor does follow the crew method thoroughly, as she has to log in the weeded books, report to the district library and administration of the copies weeded. Then she has to report this also to the campus principal administration, signing off on that for the approval. Following the chain of command, then goes to central office, and then once these books are officially weeded, they get sent off to auction. So how limited was my search, and how many items were in the section? So I focused on the 900 section, as I mentioned, with my access to Tidal Wave and Gateway to the World Library and Destiny Fallet. I'm able to access all of the inventory of our library. Although for this assignment, I just focused on the 900s. Most of the weeded section is the Dewey in the Dewey number system. The 900s was actually the most weeded. So my mentor actually encouraged me to look at the 900 section for this assignment. 2,455 in the 900 section are in inventory. The Gateway to the World Library just recently had an update, my library, of the Tidal Wave and Destiny. They just recently got an update, so that just happened around a few months ago. And I want to share this with y'all. Our library just recently changed. It became a cafe style, so they took away a lot of the tables, a lot of the shelves. Now it's more cafe style, where there's more couches, there's more areas like to, like, let's say, relax, read a book. And so that's kind of what we saw with the changes. My citations, what I used was the permission from my librarian, my mentor, the snippets of the screenshots of the inventory of the 900s. And then also I used the book with chapters 10 and 13. So I want to thank you all for seeing my presentation. Thank you so much.